I just wanted to share an idea of how you might cover several different content descriptors in the Australian curriculum. If you just have a look at this game, it's called Robot Race. Nothing particularly special about it other than there are 3 or 4 games in one when you play this. Theme's about robots racing, but involves 3 different ideas. So one version of this game, you would simply just spin the even spinner. So you'd spin 6, and I'd spin 2, and you'd say 6 and 2 is 8, and you'd move along 8 on the board. So you might play just the even game for a period of time. Another day or two, you might play just spin the odd twice. So in this case here, I've done 1, and then I spin 3, so 1 and 3 is 4, and you move along that way. So one game was just spinning the even, another game would just involve spinning the odd. On another day, you might spin the even and the odd. So in this case, it's 8 and 5, and you get 13. So that's just practicing, basically adding 2 single-digit numbers, which is really about year 2 and year 3 in the Australian curriculum. By about year 4 in the Australian curriculum, however, there's a content descriptor that speaks about investigating odd and even numbers. Now, if I was investigating odd and even numbers, I'd ask children to sort of focus on what squares they land on. So if we go back to just the even spinner, when you spin 2 even numbers, you'll notice that when you add them, you're going to end up on an even number. So you might use those little sticky labels and put it on there. So when children start to reason and think about, well, 2 even numbers gives me an even number, and 2 odd numbers, when I add them together, give me an even number, and then adding an even and an odd, that's the only time that I'm going to end up with an odd number. So that's year 4 level thinking. However, the kids are practicing year 3 and year 2 level content in terms of the mathematics. I just wanted to talk a little bit of an idea of assessment here. We've just spoken about the game Robot Race. Well, if you turn Robot Race onto the back, what you'll notice is a series of what I'm going to call the answers to the various spinner questions that might come up. So one of the spinner options was to spin even and even. So a player takes on the role of the remote controller. And in this case, basically, they're getting the answers. So that's the answers when you add 2 even numbers together. If I was playing the odd and odd version, there would be the answers. And likewise, the odd and even version there. So essentially, if you're playing one game, they're just getting that little piece. So that player is in charge of the game. They can still play the game, but they're monitoring all the calculations. Now, as a teacher, you can keep track of how well the kids are doing. So you would photocopy this, and with a big black texter, you would mark in the ones that you notice that they're getting right, which leaving you the ones that you might have to focus on that they need to learn in a future lesson.